Hello, it is Thursday morning and I've got to pack up all the rest of the plants today. So the move is in 2 days. We're less than 48 hours away. I've got a lot to do in this room. I have to pack up all the plants in here. I have to pack up some of the big plants still, actually pretty much all of them. I got most of my living room packed up yesterday, so yeah, let's get to work. Okay, let me show you my Oreas here. So I've got a couple different Monstera Oreas and they are rooting into each other's pots. So I've got this yellow variegated Monstera here, and this one is growing out of this pot here, but its roots have found their way into this pot, and this plant snakes its way all the way over here and is growing into some of these propagation cups. So I've got a whole situation with these Oreas, so I'm gonna try to basically just move them as a big group into the box.
I'm getting ready to move my 300 plus plant collection from San Francisco to Southern California.
I feel super accomplished for getting those in there. Pinnatum elbow that's growing way up here. It managed to attach itself onto the side of this. Do you see these roots? They are firm on there. So this is the Epiprenum pinnatum. This was rooted to the wall, or to the dresser.
Really big plant.
I realized as I just knocked this pot over into the box and it spilled dirt everywhere that I need to pack the dirt down a little bit on these plants. What was I thinking? I completely forgot to do that. So a lot of my plants, I have not been packing them down because I don't really care if they spill everywhere, but these plants definitely need some support on the dirt because it's gonna bounce all over the place and these plants are gonna come unpotted. So let's do that. Shoving these plants around, I'm just remembering that I think one of my advantages in trying to move all of these plants is that I have worked for multiple plant shops. I've worked with 3 different plant shops now with all different ownership styles, but one thing that they have in common is that plants get treated pretty roughly. I know that when I had like 30 plants, all of my plants were treated like absolute royalty. You know, they never got bumped, and I would have wrapped them all individually. But at this point, I feel very comfortable kind of shoving plants around into different places, and I know that they can recover from a good amount of damage. So I'm kind of just tossing the plants around in the same way that I would in the plant store. In fact, I'm actually probably rougher on my own plants because I don't need to worry about damaging an item that's for sale. So if I know that I can shove something in and it might get a little bent, something might snap here or there, I'm not too concerned. I mean, that being said, we'll see how the plants arrive once we get there. Okay, this vine is insanely long. I'm gonna chop it. It's gonna be liberating. As I'm taping the soil down in these pots with paper, it was just reminding me how in plant shops, plants almost never ship with paper packed over the dirt. I think that's why they usually arrive kind of moist, or maybe even a little overwatered, because I think they just water the plants as a solution to keep the soil in place. But usually when there's paper around the soil of a plant, it's only like a really, really big one, or one that they know is going to be transported sideways. So I'm only doing this on ones that I used like a really chunky loose soil mix that I think if we hit bumps, it's gonna spill everywhere. But a lot of my plants I just packed straight into the boxes without any kind of soil protection. It's kind of just a judgment call on your part to see whether you think it's worth it to spend the time taping the soil down. So I've got a lot of snake plants, and most of those have kind of loose soil, and the structure of the plant is such that there's a lot of exposed soil in the pot, because there's just like one plant and then they usually branch out, unless it's one that's like got a lot of plants in the pot. But for the snake plants, I'm taping them down just because I think the soil's probably going to go everywhere, especially because I let them dry out all the way and I'm not about to water them. So they're very dry, so I'm taping the soil down. Okay, the other thing we should talk about is my calathea situation. So I'm down to like 10 calatheas in my collection. I've been gradually getting rid of them. They tend to have spider mites. A lot of these calatheas are either very damaged looking or only have a couple leaves left, like 2 leaves, which is fine in my opinion while I'm here. Anyway, I've got this batch of them here, and I think only some of them are gonna come with me. This jungle velvet is the same one that I showed you a long time ago, I think in my original first plant chores, and it's alive, but it's just never been doing well. It gets these little mineral spots all over it, and these yellowing edges, which I think is from always being bottom watered and from using just tap water to always water this plant, and I think I'm gonna just get rid of it. This is my Makoyana, which has been in the dark for a long time and does not look super great. This is a Tenanthe setosa. All of these got really bad spider mites, so I cut them back pretty significantly, I don't know, about 6 months ago, and they've been doing okay. You know, I'm just not crazy about this. My Rhubarba, I think when I showed it last time, I cut it back really drastically. It grew back, it's doing great. But then a couple weeks ago, my dog trampled it. It's here on the floor, and it doesn't stand on its own anymore. All of the stems snapped. This is what this plant looks like, and I was considering cutting it back and trying to bring it again, but it just, I don't know, it's so unmanageable that I think this one is not going to make the move either. And then my ornata, the pinstripe, it only has 2 leaves left. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one. This one, my Calathea Beauty Star, I absolutely love this one. I'm very attached to it. So this one is definitely coming with me. And then I have a couple more in my bathroom. Beep, 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 beep. Oh, it's so messy. Okay, well, and then I've got a couple of Calatheas back here. Rattlesnake and a Freddy, I think, or I can't ever remember the name of that one. The Orbifolia, and this Orbifolia has been looking really weird for a while, so this probably will not make the move with me. Calatheas would rather live here in San Francisco than where I'm going, where the humidity is going to be much lower. Okay, and now to address the elephant in the room, my big Monstera deliciosa. So this is actually one of the smaller ones that I have compared to my giant ones that I have in my living room. This I got as a really small plant. It was just a little 6-inch Monstera. It totally relies on growing up this corner of this bedroom in here for its support, which is how it's been able to size up and how it's able to maintain this position without drooping over to the sides. Because it started small, the stems that are in the pot are very skinny, and then as the plant progresses upwards, the stems are really, really thick. And what that means is that this plant is never going to be one that can stand well on its own. It's going to need support, and at some point, that little stem that connects the whole plant into the soil is going to become too weak to support the plant if it gets any bigger. So what I'm about to do is I'm going to propagate it and take the top cuttings from this plant, and I'm going to see if there's somebody who wants the bottom of this plant. This decision to cut this plant back is something that I was going to do whether or not I'm moving. It's just happening a little bit sooner. Okay, I feel unexpectedly kind of sad to have done that, but I've got it now. 3-leaf propagation. I'm gonna cut off one leaf, the bottom one, and I think that's gonna be it actually. As I'm looking at this, I don't really think I want to take another piece. It's just for sentimental purposes that I'm keeping a part of this plant. Other thing I should tell you about is the tape plan that I have. So I ordered this green masking tape and some fragile stickers. They're relatively inexpensive. And my plan is to put this green tape all around the outside of all of my plant boxes so that it's really clear to anyone looking at those boxes that they've got plants in them and that they really should not be tipped sideways or be crushed underneath anything. So that's my plan. I'm gonna be taping up the boxes with my green tape, not like to shut them, but just like basically as like a label on the outside so that it's super clear to anybody looking at the boxes that there are plants inside. The reason why I'm packing up all of my plants into boxes is because it's really easy to stack them along with all my other stuff. So these boxes are all dimensions that end up like adding well and fitting well together into a truck. So I'm basically trying to put as much of my stuff as possible into the same types of boxes so that they're very easy to stack in, and it's really easy to make everything really secure that way. So I figured plants could go into these boxes as long as I don't water them in the box. Plant shops for plant deliveries and plant nurseries use these boxes that have like usually at least a waxy insert in the bottom so that if the plants drip water, it doesn't ruin the box, and the box is allowed to retain its structural integrity. So it's a little bit risky that I'm putting all of these plants into these cardboard boxes without a wax bottom, but pretty much every plant that I'm putting in a box has a tray underneath it, so I think it should be okay. So this box has plants in it. I'm not gonna seal it up yet because I don't want the boxes to have a chance to accumulate too much like humidity inside the box, because that will also make them soggy. I like to put the labels on the corners of the boxes because then from any side the label is visible, but you only need to put on 2 labels. Probably put green tape on like the top of the box too. Okay, so my friend just came over and took a whole bunch of my plants. Most of the calatheas and my hydrophytophora and the pothos bases that I didn't want anymore, and he ended up taking more stuff than I thought he was going to, so I feel really great about that. He is a plant lover. He's like my original plant friend, so he takes really good care of plants, and I feel so relieved, honestly, that these plants are gonna be in his care. He also got my big low light monstera. I'm gonna secure this stake to the pot a little bit so that I can more comfortably lift up the whole plant by the stakes, so that I can use the stake to hold the plant while I lower it into a very tall box. Feels precarious to let go like 3 feet off the ground, but the stake should hold. Like a glove. Okay, so there's a lot of space in the bottom of that box. I've got this massive amount of polyfill, so I think I'm gonna try to just shove a bunch of this in the bottom of the box and consider it done. This stuff is so fun.
It'll be okay.
I'm trying to eat some food and hype myself up to go chop up my giant pothos and show it to you guys. I've been avoiding talking about it for years. Literally waited till the last minute, moving like tomorrow, so it's gonna be okay. I'm gonna cut it up. You guys are gonna be disappointed. Those leaf spots that I showed at the end of my video, just, I don't know, they started to bum me out. I chopped off all the big leaves a while ago, and it's just a normal pothos now with really thick stems taking up a huge amount of space. So I'm gonna cut it up and take some chunks of the stem and propagate them. Was that rude that I was just like talking with my mouth full the whole time? I'm sorry if that was rude. I like haven't had energy to film, and I started eating food and was like, I've got something to say. So anyway, I'm gonna keep eating and then we're gonna chop up the pothos. Okay, so I've missed some waterings on this plant. It's not in great shape, and but it does have these huge vines. I don't know if you can tell how thick these are. So I'm gonna keep a lot of it and I'm gonna propagate it and we're gonna start again because this is ugly and I don't need to be bringing this mess with me. As much as I like it, I feel like as long as I'm keeping some of it, it's not like I'm getting rid of it. And all of the really big leaves are gone already anyway, so it's fine. Let's chop it. Whoa. This is a huge chunk for sure. These big chunky pieces of stem. This is huge. I'm gonna cut this up into some smaller sections, I think. I'm not sure if these are gonna grow because they feel like hollow and very light to me, like all the life is gone out of them. But I at least have a couple of end cuttings, so we'll keep this plant going. Giant golden pothos shall rise again. So I cut a hole in the bottom of this bag. This is my hack for a little plant, like a plant sleeve. You just cut a hole in a plastic grocery bag, stick your plant in there. You can let the bottom of the pot come through and your plant is protected. And then I usually like to put a piece of tape around so the hole doesn't rip too big. Okay, it is 3:30 a.m. We're moving in basically 30 hours. So I got all but 16 plants packed up, which sounds like there's still a lot left, but it's just the really big ones. Oh, I also just realized actually that 16 does not include my orchid cabinet, which I have to take apart tomorrow and take out the orchids. There aren't that many in there. And then I have most of the snake plant wall is still out and about waiting to be packed into big boxes with other large plants because they're very tall. So those are going to be one of the last things I pack. So yeah. All right. Good night. It's the final stretch. Last plant I'm going to pack up is the gigantic. Signing out from San Francisco. We are doing it, you guys. We made it. It's been a long day.